Hello, fellow modeling and tabletop gaming enthusiasts, and welcome to the next episode of the Mediocre Modeler Show. We've got a pretty special episode for you here. I know we've done a couple out-of-box reviews already, but this is sort of a out-of-box game review, you could say. So about not quite a year ago, it was May of 2022 when I backed a Kickstarter for the second edition of a game from Word Forge Games. And that game is Pocket Landship. It's sort of a dice card game. I don't know exactly how best to describe it. It's kind of the first time I've ever gotten into a game like this, so I don't know exactly how to describe it, but it's a tabletop game, so it kind of fits into the theme. It involves dice. That's all that matters. As long as you got dice, you're good. So I backed this Kickstarter, and it was successfully funded. It met all of the stretch goals at the time, and most of that was for a few new updates and a lot of new artwork for the cards. And I today is April 21st, just today received my copy. There were a couple of delays in shipping and stuff like that. Things happen. It's just kind of the nature of Kickstarters. If you've ever backed a Kickstarter before, sometimes they come through, sometimes they don't. I think I've backed 5 or 6 so far. All of them have come through. Some of them have been a little bit delayed. One of them going on 4.5 years now, probably not going to be fulfilled, but that's a story for a different time. We're not going to get into that. So this particular Kickstarter was for the second edition of the game, as well as an expansion that was the No Man's Land expansion, which included a couple of extra new cards and some new artwork and stuff for essentially the base game. I think the level that I pledged at was something around 28 pounds sterling, so at the time probably around $35, which, it comes with everything you need to play the game. So it's mainly meant, I think, as more of a solo player game, but there are rules for 2-player and a little bit more competitive. And there are also a number of scenarios and sort of the main core rule book that allow you to kind of play a campaign, essentially. So without any further ado, let's head down to the bench and take a look at the contents. Here we have the core set, the base set, excuse me, for Pocket Landship 2nd Edition. You can see by Scott Allen. I'm going to butcher this so bad. We're just going to call it Chiz. Comes in a pretty nice, hard cardboard box. You can see you get a nice description of the game as well as all the game components that are included. I do have all the items from the No Man's Land expansion already included in here. So again, here's the No Man's Land expansion box. There are 22 additional cards that came in this, as well as the Kickstarter exclusive weather card and weather dice are included in here. So as you can see, this measures up. It's about, probably about, I don't know the exact, I'm not even going to try and extrapolate that. I'm just going to find a different ruler and we can get a more proper measurement here. So it's about 7 inches long, or probably about 165, 175 millimeters by, what are we looking at here? About 4 inches. 4 inches tall, a little over 100 millimeters. I did check. This does actually fit in the front pocket of my jeans, which is pretty cool. It holds up to the name and fits pretty well. Fits in the back pocket as well. My wife commented, I have guy jeans, so I have real pockets. So that makes it a little bit easier. Got some pretty cool artwork on here. So the premise is sort of that technological development from World War I sort of continued, and you've got these great big land ships or these tanks rolling across the landscape, causing all kinds of problems. Got some pretty nice artwork here. We got the nice, I'm assuming probably British with the red jackets and the bearskins. Some pretty cool artwork there. So let's go ahead, open her up, and see what we have. So we've got our core rule book. Not terribly large. Of course, it walks you through the contents, what everything is, and then walks you through the basic gameplay. And then you get into some sort of narrative scenarios there, the campaign mode. And of course, you've got the classic mode, and then sort of the rules for 2-player co-op mode. And I think there is actually in the rules for No Man's Land, I think there's more of a 2-player competitive mode. So this is a nice little fold out. So this is going to be too much for the entire screen at once, but it gives you sort of the introduction for the expansion for No Man's Land and the rules for the 2-player competitive mode. We do have 2 sides to this, kind of explaining everything else, giving you another sort of narrative scenario, and also how to use the weather card, and then some more cool artwork there. So we've got a number of contents here. So this 12 mil white die, or 16 mil white die, is actually the weather die that works with this weather card here. You've got your 16 or 12 mil red dice, and then you've got 6 of the 16 mil black dice for various gameplay functionalities. And then, of course, you've got all of your cards, which is sort of the base of the game. I do have these. I went through, added everything together, sorted them all out into the different types. So we've got our weather card here, which has both a favorable conditions side, it is 2-sided, and then we've got our adverse weather conditions. And then you've got your advantage cards, which you gain through the course of destroying your opponents. I think once you take all these advantage cards, put them into a deck on the side, and then each time you knock out an opponent, you put one of the dice that goes on their card onto this deck, and then once you get 2, you can draw 1, discard 1, and keep 1. And actually, we're going to take a look at some of this other stuff first to kind of help explain the game a little bit more. Apologies. So you have your land ships or your tanks, which are made up of your hull, optional sponsons, and then a turret. You can also, instead of taking sponsons, you could take shock troops, which are sort of infantry or I think artillery. So you've got a number of different hulls that offer different scenarios based upon the dice that you roll. You can have some different options. You know, you've got, okay, so we've got our Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 2A, Mark 3, and then this is sort of an exclusive one. I think might have been from the first edition, your hull Mark 0. And then you've got your different cannon marks, Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, Mark 0, and then you've got your different sponsons. And again, they have sort of different abilities based upon the level, sort of how you level up. And then you've got your shock troops, which could be your infantry, or I think there's even, well, technically it's still a shock troop, but it's looks like artillery. And then you've got your tankettes, which are just 2 of those, and then a few other things. Then you've got drivers that offer different one-time bonuses, as well as commanders, which again offer additional bonuses. And I think there's actually, in the second edition, they added 2 admirals. So you set up your land ship with your turret and then your sponsons or your shock troops, which give you different abilities, and then you roll your dice. And what you're doing is you're attempting to destroy different enemy units. So there's things like sniper teams, ambushes, but most of what you're going after are these mechs, which have, again, similar to the land ships, they have different things depending on what your D6 roll is. Got some pretty cool artwork with all of those. And then included in the second edition was really big Mamma Jamma, the Commander class mech, and there's 2 different cards for that. You've got the Beta, and then you've got the Alpha. And then you've got a number of different backs on the cards to kind of help tell you what things are. You've got these plain ones, I think, for the opposing stuff, your advantage cards that form the advantage deck. And then I think on the back of your other ones, yeah, so we've got our sort of our personnel cards here, and then our actual Landship stuff. So some pretty cool stuff there. Pretty cool artwork. I think it looks pretty interesting. It was a relatively low investment, so I'm really looking forward to it. It doesn't look like it should take very long. You can just play it on a regular old tabletop. They did have some other higher levels where you could get neoprene mats to play on, and dice trays, and all kinds of extra stuff like that. But I just kind of went for the base one just to have a little fun, try something new. And again, it is relatively compact, so I'm looking forward to that, because I am actually taking a work trip out of state this week, and I am flying. So I'm strongly considering bringing this with me, just for something to do in my downtime, assuming I have some. But yeah, we'll definitely give that a shot. And once I kind of have a chance to really sit down and learn the rules, we'll definitely probably play a game and record it and throw it up on the channel. So that is sort of our in-box, out-of-box review of Pocket Landship 2nd edition, as well as the No Man's Land expansion from Word Forge Games. Hope you all enjoyed that look at Pocket Landship. I'm definitely looking forward to getting it on the table, trying it out. Looks like it should play fairly quickly, fairly easily, fairly intuitive. Looks like it should be a pretty good time. But again, I will definitely let everyone know how my experience was. And again, once I get a chance to kind of learn the rules, learn how it plays, I will definitely sit down and record a game and see how things are. So appreciate you all tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you think about the channel. Let me know about the content, and we'll definitely take those thoughts into account. So until next time, folks, that's not what I say. May your paints be thin, your brushes be pointy, and your dice be hot.